There is a type of emptiness that cannot be cured with money, covered by achievements, disappeared with a new relationship, calmed by traveling, silenced by music, or resolved by staring at a screen until falling asleep. That emptiness that appears even when everything seems fine. It is a strange feeling of living, but not really being alive. And perhaps this scares you because for years you thought the problem was that you were missing something external. But today I want to tell you something that can completely change the way you understand your life, manaf. Maybe you do not feel empty because you lack more of the world, but because you need to return to God. Look, for years, we have been educated with a very well-packaged lie. We have been told that happiness lies in accumulating, in experiences, in achieving professional successes, in reaching a certain economic status, in finding the perfect partner, in having wonderful children, in traveling the world, in being recognized, admired, and applauded. And so we throw ourselves into this frantic race as if our souls would be satisfied when we finally reach that goal. But the funny, painful, and deeply revealing thing is that when we achieve, something inside us stays the same. We get that promotion we wanted so badly, and 2 weeks later, we're already thinking about the next one. We buy that bigger house, and in a few months, it doesn't seem enough. We get thousands of likes on a photo, and the next day, we feel that same silent emptiness that no one sees. No one sees. And you know what I'm talking about, because maybe you've smiled in a photo while inside you were broken. Maybe you've answered everything right, when in reality you felt like something was fading away inside you. Maybe you've achieved things that you previously thought would make you happy, but when you held them in your hands, you discovered that they didn't mean as much as you imagined. No que imagined. And that's where a dangerous question begins, a question that many avoid, because it forces them to look too deeply. If I have more than before, if I know more than before, if I've lived more than before, why do I still feel so empty? The terrible thing about this situation is that many people spend entire decades trying to answer that question with the wrong solutions. They go from therapy to therapy, reading self-help books as if they were modern Bibles. They try meditations, mindfulness courses, productivity methods, new philosophies, new habits, new routines, new friendships, new relationships. Some of these things can help on a certain level, of course they do, but they can't get to the heart of the problem when the problem is in the soul. Because you can't satisfy an infinite hunger with finite crumbs. You can't fill a spiritual well with entertainment. You can't satisfy a thirst for eternity with temporary promises. And in the meantime, the true remedy, the source of living water, that which doesn't simply distract but transforms, is waiting silently. It's in the tabernacle of a church that you may not have been to in years. It's in a confession that you've put off for too long. It's in a prayer that you haven't wanted to say because you're afraid of what God might show you. It's in that Christ who never tired of calling you, even though you grew tired of listening to him. And that's why today I don't want to offer you a nice theory or a motivational quote to make you feel better for 5 minutes. I want to take you step by step to the root of that emptiness, because only when you understand where it comes from can you truly begin to heal. The first thing you need to understand is hard, but liberating. Much of the emptiness you feel comes from having disconnected your life from its original source. Imagine a mobile phone disconnected from its charger. Roll. It still works for a while. The screen still glows. The app's still open. The notifications still come in. On the outside, everything looks normal. But inside, the battery is running out, and there comes a time when, even though the device is expensive, modern, and seemingly perfect, it simply turns off. That's how the human soul works when it disconnects from God, but not. You can continue working, smiling, paying bills, fulfilling commitments, posting photos, and keeping up appearances, but inside you are gradually running out of light. The great tragedy of our time is that we have built an entire civilization on the idea that human beings can be self-sufficient. We were told that we didn't need God, that human reason was enough, that science would solve all our problems, that progress would bring happiness, that consumption would give us identity, that each person could create their own truth, their own meaning, their own path. And for a while, that promise seemed convincing because it gave us comfort. Technology, options, apparent freedom. But now, look at the result, honestly. We have never had so many possibilities, and at the same time, we have never seen so much anxiety, so much depression, so much loneliness, so much addiction, so much spiritual fatigue, because human beings can distract themselves from God, but they cannot replace God. They can deny their need for eternity, but they cannot remove that need from their hearts. They can fill their schedule, fill their house, fill their bank account, fill their phone with contacts, fill their networks of followers. But if their soul is empty, sooner or later, all that begins to sound hollow. And when that happens, many get scared. They think they are failing, that they are broken, that something bad is happening to them. But here comes a truth that you may not have expected. That emptiness that hurts you so much can be one of the clearest signs that God is still calling you. Yes, although it may seem contradictory, that emptiness is not necessarily your enemy. It can be a sacred alarm. It may be your soul's way of telling you, this is not. Oh, nah. You were not created just to work, consume, grow old, and die. Is there something else? Animals do not agonize over the ultimate meaning of existence. They are satisfied with food, shelter, and survival, but you are not. You can have food, shelter, success, pleasure, and still feel that something is missing because you were created in the image and likeness of God. You carry within you a capacity that only the infinite can fill. And that is why everything finite, no matter how good, ends up falling short. St. Augustine said it in a phrase that has spanned the centuries. You made us, Lord, for yourself, and our hearts are restless until they rest in you. That restlessness you feel is not coincidence. It is not just tiredness. It is not simply boredom. It is the deep memory of your soul, remembering where you came from and where you must return. That is why you can be surrounded by people and feel lonely. You can have plans and have no purpose. You can have entertainment and have no peace. You can be busy all day long, and yet when night falls and all is silent, you feel like there's a question waiting for you in the darkness, and that question doesn't go away because God doesn't let it go away easily. He could numb you completely. He could let the world put you to sleep without you feeling a thing. But in His mercy, He allows that inner discomfort to wake you up, Just as physical pain tells you that something in your body needs attention, spiritual emptiness tells you that something in your soul needs to fall back into place. The problem is that many times, instead of listening to that signal, we do everything we can to silence it, and we turn on the TV, we open our phone, we seek company, we seek noise, we seek pleasure, we seek anything just so we won't be alone with what we feel. But God often speaks precisely there in the silence that we so avoid. He doesn't compete with your notifications. He doesn't shout to overcome the noise of your world. He doesn't put on a show to get attention. God speaks as He spoke to the prophet Elijah. Not in the strong wind, not in the earthquake, not in the fire, but in the gentle whisper. And if you never stop, if you never turn off the outside noise and the inside noise too, if you never sit before the Lord with honesty, how are you going to hear what He wants to tell you? How are you going to discover that perhaps the emptiness you are trying to fill is actually a door? But to cross that door, you need to look at another deep root of your emptiness. You have forgotten your eternal destiny. We live as if this life is everything, as if we were born, we worked, we accumulated memories, and then we just disappeared. Even many baptized Christians live and practice as functional atheists. They claim to believe in God, but they make decisions as if eternity does not exist. They seek happiness as if they were only 70 or 80 years old to squeeze pleasure, comfort, and recognition. But listen carefully to this. You were not created to last a few decades. You were created for eternity. And when this truth truly enters